MEC. We're really, really grateful that you could make it, and we're quite humbled by your presence. I'm not sure if the office of the mayor eventually arrived, but those that are close to the office of the mayor, if they could just send our appreciation for receiving the ship into the port. To the hosts, Transnet National Ports Authority, my two port captains and the harbour master, do send back a message to headquarters that we understand that they couldn't make it. And I think I received a message that was saying that they couldn't make it, particularly from the COO from that side. So to send our appreciation. Mr. Ali Penny, he stepped out. Thank you so much for such kind words. I'm not going to be long, but I am really glad that what we started as a dream is beginning to be a very big reality. And I wish to thank a very special partner in the room that we have had a 10-year project today, Mr. Andrew Millard. I met Andrew first in 2009, and we were talking about another deal. It had nothing to do with these ships. It was a completely different deal on a cable ship, and that didn't come through for other reasons, and he came back with another deal by 2011, 2012, and that too fell apart. And this deal took a lot of doing. Must mention that it's still not settled, and it is not settled because as government there are things that we still need to do. Media, please don't report this part. We do have work to do still, because for us to grow this, we are going to have a proper investor-friendly regime. It has moved 95%, but that 5% is so critical to the sustainability that we need to achieve. I wish to thank my other partner, or SAMSA's other partner in the ports regulator. When we're looking at when the deal was put together, we knew we could get a ship, we knew we were able to compete, we knew that there was still grime in this taste that we needed to refine away. So we needed to throw certain spices into the deal. And just at that time, we spoke to ports regulator and said, port regulator, there is something more we can do. And that is when we arrived at the port call discount regime, which they kindly put into the tariff book. And so we're happy with that. I'm saying these things to demonstrate how important it is in order to give meaning to this private-public partnership, to say this is how well we can work as government and private sector in order to make something there that was not there before, to give benefits and to provide solutions to these social problems that we have. So it's a partnership that we really respect. When this ship discharged at the last but one port, she was going down to Australia. I hope she ended up in Australia. But the reason I'm coming back to this is that then I was asked that we needed ratings, some ratings to join the ship. And when you do away with a system, we do not even have a system to produce and account for ratings in the country. I was asked for 5 ratings typically. I couldn't come up with 5 ratings, Captain, to join this ship. Otherwise, this ship would have been calling with regular crew of South Africans. This is what happens when you're starting from ground zero. And I'm hoping that, Saimi, you understand the importance of your mandate. Because scratching, you have tens of cadets who don't have placement. We've got ships that are starting now to call for people, but the two just are not able to meet. So the one thing that is outstanding then from our point of view, amongst others, we were requested, Mahesh, that because this class of a ship sometimes has to call into Maputo and other ports, that when she comes to port, Captain and Rajesh, she's already on a time charter. So it is important that she comes in, loads and goes out again. So the preferential berthing is a discussion that I think we need to engage in. And I do know that that side largely depends on the terminal. But I think it's a discussion, my port managers, that we are going to have to engage in, such that the same regime that we were given by the post regulator, we try and negotiate a similar type of an arrangement, such that you minimize the demurrage. And the reason that you can't do that, there's no delay in Maputo. So if this ship were to still go to Maputo to load and go, she would not incur any delays. But then you've got a draft limitation when you get to Maputo. So she is forced to start in Maputo, pick up, but then the clock is ticking at that time. So I'm going to really request Transnet in general that their contribution to this whole exercise is going to be in the preferential berthing. We worked on a formula that we thought could be fair, that it doesn't necessarily disadvantage others, but that appreciates that there is a South African effort that is going. I had asked VUCA to approach the ports authorities and the port terminals himself, so that that discussion can take place, and between the ports regulator and SAMSA, we would see how we are able to support that venture. We still have an outstanding. Sorry?
We need 10 more ships before we talk.
Well, you can't get to those 10 ships if we don't unlock this deal yet. So, as I'm saying then, there remains work for SAMSA to do, there remains work for the ports regulator to do, there remains work for Saimi to do in ensuring that we are able to link these skills. There remains work for the National Ports Authority to do in ensuring that we continue to refine this machinery. There remains work for the Transnet port terminals to do in order that we are able to really canvas. So our motivation for today's function was to showcase what can be done if we work together, but to demonstrate, or rather to plead that if we do more, we can get much more than we have gotten here. So that is the part, and that is the undertaking that SAMSA will make on behalf of government. I think we've proven that it can be done. There remains a great deal of work from a South African Revenue Services point of view, and we're having that discussion. In fact, that work, which is the 5% that needs to be done, has a potential to stop us here and not grow any further. I do not think we'll get there. We've solved much more difficult problems. So it is my view that we're going to take this thing much more forward. MEC, I'm dealing with you last. When we started figuring out what could be done, from a SAMSA perspective, we are a national entity falling under transport. So we are never going to be preferring the Western Cape to Limpopo to anywhere else. But we thought that the Eastern Cape has a great deal of potential from a maritime sector. We thought that with your longest coastline, it is rather sad that we have very little to show in a way of ensuring that this real estate that you have creates a great deal of value. So when we approached our partners in Vuka Marine, it was a back and forth. You could have taken this whole thing to Cape Town or Durban, which are two established centers. But we thought that if we go and are going to be going where there is no road, we're going to have to bash our own road with a great deal of difficulty. And thanks once more, Andrew. I think we've come this far. The majority of the ships that are sitting on the South African Ship Registry are registered in Port Elizabeth. This ship becomes the third of such. The other two are so big they can't come in here. So you never see those ships in this port unless you build a big dry dock and they come in light, which is not going to happen. But as we were saying, the intention was to give this registration a start. We had a discussion that attached to this venture is a huge manpower development project that at an appropriate time, VUCA or through VUCA partnerships, they will come back and tell us what has to be done. I can promise you this is not the last time. In fact, this is the beginning. But that other last time can only materialize if we solve all these other problems. So I hope Transnet gets it and gets it quite well. Now, that is why we are here. So thank you once more and thank you very much.